Very good morning, students. This is Mohan Kumar BS, Assistant Professor from Maharani Science College for Women. Today, I will be teaching Entamoeba histolytica, its occurrence, disease caused, mode of transmission, life cycle, and preventive measures. So, occurrence. If you look at the picture here, the entamoeba which causes the disease amoebiasis is actually cosmopolitan in nature and it is seen worldwide. Although it is largely located on the equatorial and Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, it is seen worldwide. The percentage would vary from place to place, but it is seen worldwide. And it is more epidemic, which is reported in Mexico, China, India, Philippines, South America, and Thailand. So, here in the picture, the orange color represents amoebiasis occurrence more than 5%. Little yellowish would be around 1 to 5% occurrence, and the all other parts of the word less than 1%. So, disease. Entamoeba histolytica is a microscopic endoparasite living in the upper part of the large intestine, that is colon of the man. It inhibits the mucus and submucous layers of the large intestine, and it feeds mainly on the tissues of the intestinal wall and often produces severe ulcer and abscesses. In chronic cases, it may enter the blood circulation to reach the liver, lungs, brain, and other softer organs of the body. It causes a serious and often fatal disease known as amoebic dysentery or amoebiasis. Entamoeba histolytica is also been reported from a variety of mammals, not just humans. It is also seen in gorilla, orangutan, chimpanzee, gibbons, baboons, monkeys, dog, cat, pig, and rat, etc. So, two forms of this Entamoeba histolytica exist. Number one is tropozoite, another one is assist form. Tropozoites are, it's also called as magna, whereas this precystic or cystic form is also called as minota. Tropozoites, the mature parasite or the active and motile adult is actually known as tropozoites. Tropozoites of Entamoeba are large compared to the cystic form, are large and hence called magna, usually around 20 to 30 microns in diameter. It is a feeding form, hence pathogenic to man. It resembles amoeba in all structural details. The cytoplasm of tropozoite is differentiated into two distinctive portions, that is outer ectoplasm and inner endoplasm. Outer ectoplasm is clear, non-granular or agranular and hyaline, that is transparent, while the endoplasm is granular and fluid like. The pseudopodia may be short, broad and rounded, long and finger like, mainly composed of ectoplasm. During locomotion, the rapidly advancing end of the body consists of a single clear pseudopodium, that is why it's called a monopodial. With this single pseudopodium, it moves in a crawling fashion like garden slug. Hence, the movement is also sometimes called Limax type of movement. The endoplasm contains the nucleus and food vacuoles containing the tissue fragments, erythrocytes, leukocytes, and ingested bacteria and all that. Whereas the nucleus is rounded, 4 to 6 microns in diameter and vesicular. The nucleus is composed of a delicate membrane, small peripheral chromatin granules, and a centrally located small dot-like nucleolus or endosome or karyosome, and chromatin granules arranged in spoke-like striations. The nucleolus is surrounded by an indefinite clear area called as halo. The presence of RBCs in food vacuoles is an important characteristic features of this parasite, as the capacity of ingesting RBCs is higher and not seen in any other intestinal amoeba of men. Contractile vacuole is entirely absent because entamoeba lives in an environment which is isotonic. Hence, the osmotic concentration of its body remains equal to its surrounding, and no water enters inside its body by osmosis. Therefore, there is no need for contractile vacuole. With magna tropozoite form develops from small minuta form. It enters into mucosa and submucosal layer of intestinal wall by dissolving its tissues. Thus, it makes small wounds in the intestinal lining, which later develop into ulcers. After reaching into the intestinal tissues, ingest RBCs and grows up to around 60 microns in size. So, almost 6 times the size of a cyst it would grow. And as I said, minuta is the precystic form, which is smaller, spherical, non-feeding, non-motile and non-pathogenic. It measures to around 7 to 10 microns in diameter and resembles the trophozoite form in structure, except that it is smaller in size, having no pseudopodium and contractile vacuoles. No pseudopodium and no contractile vacuoles. Only the difference between trophozoite and cyst and the size. It lives only in the lumen of intestine and rarely found in the tissues. It undergoes encystation and helps in the transmission of the parasite from one host to the other. So, this is about the two forms of existence of Entamoeba histolytica. And now coming to the life cycle of Entamoeba histolytica. Entamoeba histolytica is monogenetic. Its life cycle is completed in only one host, and that's why it's called monogenetic, that is the host being us, that is man. And its life is completed in man through several steps. The first one is encystment. The precystic forms under certain circumstances which are not well understood remain small, around 7 to 10 microns in diameter, and live only in the intestinal lumen. They undergo, I will get to the next picture, so that would be more clear. So, here and they undergo encystment, but before encystment the parasites round up, eliminate food vacuoles and accumulate considerable amount of food materials in the form of glycogen granules and block rod like chromatid granules. Soon each parasite secretes a thin, rounded, resistant, colorless and transparent cyst wall around it. So, the cyst, as I was talking about, vary in size from around 7 to 10, sometimes 20 microns in diameter, and not more than that. Its cytoplasm is clear and each cyst is mononucleate at this stage, and presence of chromatoid bodies is characteristic features of the cyst, and they occur either singly or in multiples of 2 or more. There is a controversy about the exact nature of these bodies. Some authorities consider them as nutrient materials of the cyst, and some consider as the leftover or the excess chromatin thrown out of the nucleus after division. The chromatoid bodies are found in the early stages of the cyst, but they disappear in the mature tetranucleate stage. So, here I was talking about mature tetranucleate stage. So, the nucleus of the cyst divides twice, so that each cyst now becomes tetranucleate. At this stage it is called quadrinucleate cyst, which is infective stage and can infect a new host. Encysted forms pass out from the fecal matter of the host. So, the first stage is cyst and trophozoite passes in the feces from the infected person, and the second stage, after the mature cyst are ingested, they reach again the new host and complete their life cycle. So, the third step is the excistation, that is reaching the lumen of the intestine. It gets excistated, that is opens up to form trophozoites, and they multiply. One stage taking up to the trophozoite, the other one can be formation of the cyst again in the lumen and sublumen structures of the intestine, continuing from a single nuclear stage to tetranucleate stage. So mode of transfer, it's all the same thing which I just described. Mode of transmission, the infective cyst remains viable for a considerable length of time outside the human intestine. If environmental conditions are favorable, then they can infect a new host. And infection of fresh human host takes place by swallowing the infective cyst with contaminated food and drinks, whereas the contamination of food and drinks is brought about by houseflies, cockroaches, and food handlers. And it can also transmit through direct contact from person to person through fecal oral, and it can also transmit through venereal transmission among homosexual males. Is also basically the homosexuality between two males, that is can also transmit entamoeba histolytica. And food and drinks contaminated with feces containing the cyst, human feces for soil fertilizer, and contamination of foodstuffs by flies and possibly cockroaches, and food handlers specifically, they will also have a high tendency to carry these entamoeba, so one should be very careful. Now coming to the symptoms related to the entamoeba, so the symptoms are often quite mild and can include loose feces, stomach pain, stomach cramping. These are the common symptoms, whereas in case of amoebic dysentery you can also pass out bloody stools, blood stained stools or poop, and there is a severe stomach cramp and pain and fever. So how do we prevent the occurrence and infection of entamoeba histolytica? Number one, through personal prophylaxis. Number two, it can also be through a community participation. We can evade the infection of entamoeba histolytica. Personally, as you are following the COVID rule, use of boiled drinking water, protection of all food and drink from contamination by houseflies, cockroaches, etc., and avoidance of consumption of raw vegetables, improperly washed vegetables, and raw salads, cutting fingernails regularly, washing hands with soap before taking meals and after using toilet should be practiced. Personal cleanliness and elementary hygienic conditions are to be observed while taking meals. So one can follow these prophylactic methods to keep away, to safeguard themselves from the infecting entamoeba. Whereas a community can participate by purifying the water, drinking the purified water, and effective disposal of sewage waste, and avoidance of use of human feces as fertilizers. So most of these rural areas where the sewage water is connected, people tend to use the sewage water for growing the vegetables. So that should be stopped because there is a high chances of contamination of entamoeba histolytica through that. So proper sanitation of roads, lanes, and open drains can be followed. Detection and isolation of water from contamination. Once it is identified, it has to be isolated. So treatment of amoebosis involves basically giving certain antibiotics like tetramycin, erythromycin, aureomycin, which is known to be effective against the parasite. However, for the intestinal wall, liver, and other metastatic lesions, alkaloid emmetin is effective, just like metronidazole. And an anti-malarial drug called chloroquine is also effective against the amoebic abscess seen specifically in the liver and not anywhere else. So this is about entamoeba histolytica. Please go through the slides. I shall also send you the material to read up, and then we shall have an MCQ test to find out how much you have understood. Thank you.